They thought they had him. The corporate media laid the trap. The same elites who edited his words, twisted his interviews, and mocked him night after night. They were convinced that they could cage Donald J. Trump inside of their dying echo chamber one last time. But here's the thing that they didn't see coming. Alex Jones warned him. Elon Musk armed him. Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan, they joined him. And now, for the first time in modern history, a sitting president has flipped the entire media game on its head. In fact, the same late night clowns who used to ridicule Trump, they're now pulling record low ratings. You guys have seen it. CNN, MSNBC, CBS, they're losing viewers by the millions. Meanwhile, President Trump's unfiltered message on X and across podcasts is pulling in billions. Ladies and gentlemen, this trap didn't close on Trump. In fact, he turned it into a megaphone. This is the story how Alex Jones' warning became Trump's masterstroke, how the globalist media empire is collapsing in real time, and how President Trump, with Elon, Tucker, and Musk at his side, just rewrote the rules of information warfare forever. Buckle up, guys, because tonight you're going to see exactly how this trap just backfired and why the legacy media's worst nightmare is officially beginning. Hit the like button and subscribe. Guys, this all began with an emergency broadcast. Alex Jones, his voice was trembling but defiant, staring straight into the camera saying, "Get this to President Trump. He's walking into a trap." Now, he wasn't attacking. He was pleading. In fact, Alex Jones made it abundantly clear that this came from loyalty, not from rivalry. This came from a man who's been demonized for years, warning another warrior on the same battlefield about what's coming down the pipeline. Now, Alex Jones asked us to get this word out, so I'm doing my part trying to share this information. I just want to ask you to make sure that you share this video with someone else right now to make sure that you do your part and get the word out. Look, the trap that he said wasn't a bullet or some kind of indictment. This was the illusion of legitimacy. Look, this is the corporate press out here still dangling in front of the world leaders. President Trump had already beaten the system once. We've already seen it, right? But the danger was stepping back into the cage, giving attention, interviews, and headlines to the same outlets that edited his words before, twisted his meetings, and then mocked his family. So Alex Jones called on every patriot watching to share the message until it reached the Oval Office for Trump to hear it. In fact, the tone wasn't gossip, it was an alarm. He was saying, Mr. President, they can't beat you anymore unless you walk right back into their trap. So what exactly is this trap? Well, it's the old game. It's the one that's run by CNN, CBS, and the late night circuit. They invite you on with a smile, nod through your answers, and then they spend the next 24 to 48 hours slicing and reframing everything you just said. Perfect example. You guys remember Trump's heavily edited 60 Minutes interview? Drop a 60 Minutes down below if you remember that one, okay? Hours of footage reduced to sound bites that painted him as this angry, erratic, out-of-touch person. Then the network ran their fact checks, their panels of professional critics. These are the same people who have been wrong about pretty much everything for 8 straight years. That's the trap, guys. Legacy media baits him into their arena, edits the fight, and then declares themselves the winner. Alex Jones just warned that every minute that President Trump spends inside their ecosystem, all it does is fuel the illusion that it still matters. Meanwhile, millions of Americans aren't even watching those silly shows. They're on X, they're on Rumble, Spotify, tuning into the real conversation. They're on shows like this one right here. The media trap isn't just about cameras and scripts. This is about psychological warfare, and for years, they've counted on President Trump giving them oxygen that they need in order to survive. Now, you trust your Medicare plan to catch you, but what if it doesn't catch you? Now, all it takes is one uncovered service that can turn into thousands in unexpected bills. This is why I partner with Chapter, folks. They review your Medicare coverage so the safety net actually works for you. Now, one of our viewers, she said, Chapter caught gaps I never knew were there. So let me ask you, do you want to fall through the cracks, or do you want to just stand where most people already are and be secure? Now, most people, they're dialing the phone number right there at the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. The phone number again is 909-563-8279. Oh, and listen to what one of our viewers said. I actually love this one. This comment right here really made my day. Shout out to Kevin Antley 612. He said, Ron, Chapter helped me save $700 a year. That is a blessing. Praise the Lord, and thank you, Ron. Amen to you, brother. Alex Jones did not hold back, okay? He said it straight. He said, Mr. President, this comes from love. He praised President Trump as a once-in-a-generation force, a man chosen for this moment, but he warned that every superhero has a weakness, and President Trump's his loyalty to the television screen. It's kind of like kryptonite for Superman. So at 79, Trump still checks the same channels that attacked him daily: CNN, MSNBC, even a late night host that barely draw 500,000 viewers. He still takes the bait when Jimmy Kimmel or Seth Meyers mocks him. So Alex Jones begged him to stop feeding the vampires that live off of his outrage. He wasn't disrespecting Trump at all. He's not dissing Trump. He was just protecting him because while the mainstream is gasping for air, Trump's anger gives them CPR basically. So Alex Jones is basically saying, hey, stop reacting to those people. Just let them die off. Drop in Alex Jones if you agree with him. Now, every time he reacts, they get their next headline. You see what I'm saying here, guys? So Jones called it tough love, a friend telling the lion to stop roaring at mice. It's not weakness to ignore them. It's just strategy because the real battlefield isn't their stage anymore. It's ours, and they know we're winning. And so Jones then pivoted to what he called the new generals of the information war. We're talking about names like Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Steve Bannon, and of course, yes, Alex Jones himself. These aren't anchors that are chained to some teleprompters. They're real creators that are commanding digital armies. And so Musk built a platform that shattered the legacy monopoly overnight. Tucker took his entire audience from cable to freedom and then tripled his reach. Rogan speaks to like more people in one episode than CNN talks to in a whole week. And Bannon's war room has become morning roll call for the populist right. Look, collectively, they have built this crazy, wild, huge, incredibly loyal ecosystem that's just way too large. It's way too big to cancel, and it's too fast for them to censor. That is why they're panicking. That's why they're scared. They don't need permission from these advertisers or some globalist editors and whatever. Like, they speak directly to the people, and the people are listening. Drop and I hear them down below. You know what I'm saying? So President Trump aligning himself with them is not just smart politics. This is a revolution because for the first time in modern history, the truth doesn't trickle down from the top. It surges up from the base. So when President Trump sat down with Elon Musk earlier this year, the internet didn't just tune in, it erupted. That one interview right there, it pulled over 1 billion views worldwide. There was no editing, no interruptions, no fact checkers waiting backstage, just Trump, raw and unfiltered, speaking directly to the people who put him in office. Now, compare that to CBS's heavily produced 60 Minutes feature, maybe 2 million views, spliced and twisted until it barely resembled what he actually said. Did you guys see the difference? One platform handed him a megaphone, but the other one handed him a muzzle, okay? Two completely different situations here. So Jones hammered his point. He really hammered this point home. Why keep returning to the networks that built their ratings off your humiliation when the new platforms multiply your message 1,000-fold? And really, that answer was simple: habit. But in 2025, habit is the enemy of strategy. Trump's Musk-style outreach proved that the future isn't in polished TV studios. The future is in real-time connection, right? And so every time he goes direct, the establishment loses control of the narrative that they once owned. So Trump's resurgence didn't happen by accident. No, this happened through long-form truth. Fox News admitted itself. The podcast revolution has replaced traditional broadcast as America's main arena of influence. Joe Rogan averages like 30 times more viewers than CNN's primetime lineup. Tucker Carlson's digital show broke subscription records within weeks of launching it. And of course, Jones pointed out that these aren't soundbite sessions. These are unfiltered hours where Trump can explain complex policies, the border, inflation, trade, national strength without interruption. No sneering panel, nobody attacking him, no post-segment spin. And the beauty of it, if you think about it, look here, the real beauty of it is the left can't cut the tape. They can't twist a pause or crop a quote. Every word exists online forever, shared by millions who crave authenticity. And so this is why legacy media is terrified. They can't compete with honest conversation. And so when President Trump steps into that environment, whether it's with Tucker or Rogan or Musk, he doesn't just win the interview. He reclaims the microphone that they spent 8 years trying to rip away from him. So Alex Jones warned that what we're seeing is not just a media shift. This is a global information war. Now, for years, the globalists, they control every megaphone. The networks, the newspapers, the studios, even big tech itself. They had to give you permission to speak. They had to give you their blessing as they thought they were God. They decided what could be said and who was allowed to say it. That ain't fair, is it? And so now, here we are, 2025. That grip is slipping real fast across Europe. Populist leaders are winning elections. Across America, censorship is backfiring. Every attempt To silence a voice only amplifies it tenfold. Drop a Charlie Kirk down below if you understand what I'm saying here, guys. And with President Trump back in the Oval Office, the establishment's panicking. Jones said it perfectly. They can't stop us anymore unless we walk right back into their trap. And this is why they're flooding the headlines with fear, threat to democracy, authoritarian drift, disinformation. You know, this is all projection, guys. They're the ones that are losing control. President Trump's victory wasn't just political, it was informational. And so for the first time in decades, the truth isn't broadcast from Manhattan skyscrapers, it's coming straight from the people's phones. But here's where it gets absolutely poetic. The very tactics designed to destroy Trump are now feeding his reach. Every late night jab, every fake fact check, every bitter headline becomes instant fuel for his supporters online. Millions of impressions, millions of shares. Trump's team figured out how to flip the script. So when CNN mocks him, his digital army cuts the clip, adds the truth, uploads it across X, Rumble, YouTube, Telegram, TikTok within minutes. But here is what is really blowing up here. What was meant to humiliate him actually becomes a highlight reel. This is what Jones meant by turning the trap into a megaphone. You can't stop being attacked, but you can turn every attack into content. And so the legacy press, they still think that they're running the playbook from back in like 2016 or something like that, right? They don't realize that they're playing for the other team's scoreboard. President Trump's mastery now lies in weaponizing visibility. Every insult becomes free promotion. It's free press. Every smear becomes a signal boost. And they built the trap, but he built the audience that broke the trap. Every major crash has one thing in common: calm before the storm. The media says, oh, everything's fine. The Fed says inflation's under control. Yeah, if you trust that, I don't know what to tell you. Then, boom, all of a sudden the bottom drops out. And so this is why I partner with Noble Gold Investments to help people protect their savings before the headlines hit. Now, what they do is they make it real simple to own physical gold and silver, stored safely in your name, giving you real control when paper promises start to fail. Now, most people who call end up walking away saying, well, that just makes sense. And this is why thousands of people are already calling Noble Gold at 877-646-5347, or they're visiting RonYatesGold.com in order to get their free wealth protection kit. And you can just download it for free from their website. I left the link down below, or you can just call them up and say, hey, Ron Yates said that you could send me my free wealth protection kit. Just ask them for it. They'll send it right over to you, because if history repeats itself, and it always does, the calm won't last. So make your move before the storm hits. Now, the numbers don't lie. In 2025, the so-called mainstream media has collapsed under its own hypocrisy. You got CNN and MSNBC, they're all laying off staff by the hundreds. ABC just announced it's cutting primetime political coverage. And the once powerful late night circuit, it's a graveyard. Fallon, Colbert, Kimmel, they're all hemorrhaging viewers faster than they can post another Trump joke. Americans are tuned out. They've tuned out, they're done. They have literally canceled those channels. They've canceled those late night shows. Trust in corporate media has now fallen to under 20%. This is the lowest in U.S. history. Meanwhile, the independent creators, journalists, and podcasters are surging into the tens of millions of followers. It's not just a trend. This is a transfer of power. And here's the kicker. The more they attack Trump, the stronger he gets. Every hit piece, every smear headline, every sneering analysis, it only reinforces the public's disgust with the established process. Alex Jones, he called it out years ago. They're feeding on outrage, but outrage is their poison. They thought that they could cancel him, but instead they just canceled themselves. And so if 2016 was about rallies and red hats, 2025 is about networks of influence, digital ones. Reuters even admitted it. Under Trump 2.0, MAGA-aligned influencers and media have become the new mainstream. It's not exaggeration, it's reality. So instead of press briefings filtered through CNN, Trump now speaks directly through Elon Musk's X broadcasts, Tucker's interviews, and joint live streams with creators reaching every corner of America. They call it propaganda, but it's participation. People aren't watching politics happen anymore. They're involved in it. Every Tucker episode, every Rogan clip, every Alex Jones monologue acts like a nerve pulse in this giant communication web. So it's instant, it's viral, it's unstoppable. And that's why people love it. The old gatekeepers can't shut the gates because the walls don't exist anymore. This alliance right here, Trump, Elon, Tucker, Rogan, Jones is more than media coordination. This is a cultural uprising. And so for the first time in generations, the truth doesn't need permission anymore. And the White House press room, it's now the internet itself. So you guys remember when President Trump was painted as the victim of the media, when they mocked his tweets, twisted his words, and used every camera angle to make him look smaller? Those days are gone. President Trump has flipped the script literally. I mean, today, every White House interview is filmed in full and released directly on X before a single network can touch it. So no more selective editing, no more deceptive context. The people hear him before the pundits spin him. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference now. And so Jones called it the full circle moment. The man they tried to silence has become the model for every leader tired of manipulation. And instead of chasing airtime, Trump creates it. Instead of begging for coverage, he commands it. And the result, the same networks that once mocked him are now forced to cover him on his terms. The hunter became the headline. The accused became the author. And the so-called victim, well, let's just say that he just became the vanguard of a brand new media order. So this moment is bigger than Trump, guys. This is about America breaking free from information slavery. Now, for decades, the elites, they controlled the filters. They decided what you could see. They decided what you could say, what you could believe. But the 2025 awakening changed everything. And so now the people decide who's credible, not CNN, not the New York Times, not Silicon Valley moderators hiding behind community guidelines and whatnot. The same platforms that they once used to censor are now where the truth thrives. So Alex Jones' warning wasn't just for Trump. It was really for all of us. I mean, he said, don't feed the beast that hates you. And it's kind of like really simply brilliant. And Trump listened. He turned the media trap into a megaphone, not just for himself, but for every American who's sick of being lied to. So as legacy media burns out like a old candle, a new generation rises. Patriots, creators, truth tellers. The gatekeepers have fallen. The gates are now wide open. And the people, led by Trump's example, are finally free to speak again. We'll see you next time.